And good evening and welcome everyone to our December 26, 2023 East Brunswick Township Council meeting. Will everyone please rise and salute our flag as we pledge allegiance to our nation. Remain standing for a moment of personal reflection. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Township Clerk, please call roll and announce our statement of adequate notice.
Councilmember Hall? Absent. Councilman Wendell?
Present.
Councilwoman Winston?
Here.
Councilwoman Zambicki? Absent. Council President McAvoy?
Here.
Also present, Mayor Brad Cohen?
Here.
Administrator Joseph Cusculo?
Here.
And Township Attorney Michael Baker.
Here.
Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided as required under Chapter 231, Public Law 1975, by specifying the time, date, location, and to the extent known, the agenda, by posting a copy on the bulletin board located in the main lobby of the East Brunswick Municipal Building, providing a copy to the Home News Tribune and Sentinel newspapers, posting a copy on the Township's website, and by filing a copy in the office of the Township Clerk, which will be entered into the minutes.
Thank you. At this point, I'm going to change the order of tonight's meeting to have the public portion first. So Township Clerk, please read our public comment statement.
The public comment portion of our meeting is to allow the public to bring to the council's attention their concerns or comments. In accordance with NJSA 10:4-12A and the East Brunswick Rules of Council, the council asks the public to limit their comments to 5 minutes or less. At the conclusion of the statements or questions from a member of the public, the council president, at his discretion, may choose to respond, not respond, or ask the administration to respond.
Thank you. At this time, I'm going to call on our attorney, Mr. Baker, for some introductory comments. Mr. Baker?
Thank you, Council President. See, we have a lot of folks here tonight. I want to make sure everyone understands the procedure and what's happening, what's not happening tonight. A resident of the township has asked to come and speak at the public portion and asked the town council to consider a resolution. The council does not have the resolution on its agenda. It wouldn't be acted on tonight, so there is no vote taking place tonight on anything that might be brought by way of resolution. It's a township resident exercising their constitutional rights, as we all have, to bring something to the council's attention.
Thank you, Mr. Baker. And at this time, I'm going to call on Ms. Atika Kunja, who was tonight's organizer of the candlelight vigil outside. I'm going to have her speak first. Ms. Kunja.
Thank you to the entire Township Council for having me and having all of us tonight to hear our voices, that we are trying to speak on behalf of the Palestinian people who are besieged right now. We all feel bad. I think every human being feels bad seeing civilians being killed in this number, especially, and half of them being children, 2/3 of them women and children. The deaths of journalists, healthcare workers, the targeting of hospitals, schools, UN aid workers. This is something of epic proportion, this humanitarian crisis. The world has not seen this before, and we are calling for an immediate permanent ceasefire. We would like our Township Council to support that because we are not getting it from higher up leaders like our state legislators and federal government, as well as our President of the United States. So we are asking for it to be done on a local level in order to put pressure on other leaders, elected officials that we have. Just want to start off really quick by introducing myself to everybody. My name is Dr. Atika Ganja. I am of Indian descent. We are a Muslim family. So I'm not Palestinian. I am not Arab. I have traveled there on a couple of times before on vacation. I have Jewish friends, Israeli friends, so I've been to Israel myself as well. I don't have a stake in this fight per se, in the sense that I don't have family members there or anything like that, but I think like so many billions of people around the world, this issue of Palestine hits me very, very deep in the heart in a way that I can't even explain to you why that is. But we all feel something about this issue, I feel like, in the world. And I'm here to just represent my own views and my own desires of what I want to see this Township Council do. I am born and raised in East Brunswick. Actually, well, technically I was born in California, but when we were 2, we moved to this area, to Central Jersey. So I attended Lawrence Brook Elementary School since kindergarten. Then I went to, Hammarskjold, Churchill, East Brunswick High School. I graduated in the class of 2000. So I'm a product of the East Brunswick school system. I went on to go to medical school. I went to college at UC Berkeley, where I did learn a lot of my activism. And then I went on to go to Tulane Medical School. I also got a Master's of Science from New Jersey Medical School. I came back to Robert Wood Johnson to do my internal medicine residency. I went to Chicago to do my cardiology fellowship. I'm now a non-invasive cardiologist. I'm triple board certified. I'm actually currently not practicing, but I will be starting to practice soon, hopefully, and I would love to practice in this community, in this town if possible. As a doctor, I take a Hippocratic oath to treat all patients equally and to love and care about every single one of my patients, and I truly do. And I want everybody in this room and in this town to know that calling for ceasefire, it is because of my love for human beings and for people. And I want every human being to join me in that call for ceasefire. I want all of my township councils to join me in that. I want my mayor to join me in that. I want all my elected officials to join me in that, because I do believe that this upholds the values that we stand for in this town and in this country. So without any further ado about that, and then the last thing I will say is that, I could have gone anywhere to live in the world after I finished my medical studies and started working. I decided to actually come back to East Brunswick. I never thought I would do that as a child growing up here. I came back to East Brunswick. I want to raise my family here. I have a 3-year-old daughter who I would like to raise here. And I chose that because I love this town. I love the school system that we have here. I love it for its diversity, its inclusion, the respect that everybody has for each other. I love how safe it is. I love that you could easily leave your car or house unlocked by mistake and it's going to be fine. That's how the East Brunswick is, and we need to always keep it like that here. I don't ever want to feel threatened here in my town, and I never have so far, and after this meeting, I hope I never do. I also do have the assurance of the Township Council that that's not going to happen to me or to anybody that's here, because that's very, very important. Safety is always the first thing, and that's what we're here for. We're here because the people of Gaza do not have safety. They don't have their God-given human right to be safe, and that's unacceptable, and we need to protect them. Today is day 82 of the siege of Gaza. To date, almost 29,000 Palestinians have been killed, 11,000 children, 5,600 women, 200 healthcare workers, 101 journalists, more than 100 UN aid workers, the most in any conflict in UN history. 57,000 people have been injured. 1.9 million people have been displaced and their homes destroyed. 25,000 tons of explosives have been used on Gaza. That, just for reference, an atomic bomb is 20,000 tons. So we are talking more than an atomic bomb that has been dropped on Gaza in the last 3 months. This is using American weapons of mass destruction. Famously, in the first 6 days of this assault on Gaza, 6,000 bombs were dropped, and the onslaught has only intensified since then. That's a number I will never forget. 6 days and 6,000 bombs. In northern Gaza, none of the 24 hospitals are now functional. They have all been bombed, raided. The sick patients and medical staff and thousands of civilians taking refuge inside have been forced to leave on foot. This is literally patients carrying patients walking down the streets to get from North Gaza to South Gaza. This is what the Israeli military has forced people to do in hospitals. They have taken over 100 medical personnel, and they have taken them to an undisclosed location. We do not know their whereabouts. This targeting of civilians, journalists, healthcare workers, humanitarian aid workers, and medical facilities is classified as a war crime under the Geneva Convention. This is a humanitarian crisis of epic proportions that experts are calling a textbook case of genocide. There is no safe place in Gaza. Gaza has also been called a graveyard of children, and a recent UN mission to Al-Shifa Hospital called it a bloodbath, with patients strewn on the floor so that care must be exercised not to step on patients on the floor. Yesterday morning, I'm just going to give you one example of atrocity. Yesterday, on Christmas Day, we woke up to the horrific news by the Israeli government media of a massacre of Al-Maghazi refugee camp in northern Gaza, where at least 70 civilians were shot at point-blank range, mostly women and children, including a 2-week-old infant. As you know, this is just one of the many atrocities and assaults on innocent civilians that we have been reading about and watching on our screens in horror every single day for the past 82 days without a ceasefire. I am here today to request the East Brunswick Township Council introduce and pass a resolution calling for an immediate permanent ceasefire in Palestine. Across the United States, similar resolutions are being proposed in towns and cities to encourage the U.S. Congress to pass Cori Bush's H.R. 786 resolution for ceasefire and humanitarian aid that was proposed on October 16, 2023. We are calling for an immediate and permanent ceasefire because millions of lives are at risk if we do not achieve it. We need humanitarian aid to be delivered promptly to the 1.9 million displaced and besieged Gazans who a significant amount of them, up to 40% by the WHO, are starving to death right now as we speak. The federal government holds immense diplomatic and appropriations powers and an ethical responsibility to save both Palestinian and Israeli lives.
Excuse me?
Yes.
At that point, your time has expired. However,
Okay.
I will give you 30 seconds to wrap it up.
Okay. International organizations like the United Nations, the World Health Organization, USAID, Oxfam, Doctors Without Borders, Amnesty International, and many others have called for ceasefire to prevent the further civilian loss. According to data for Progress poll that was taken on October 20th, 66% of Americans support a ceasefire, yet less than 11% of our Congress has signed on to H.R. 786. This glaring discrepancy is worrisome for our democracy, which is bound by the United States Constitution that our elected officials must represent the will of the people and never the interests of a private party or another country, even a close ally. We are urging the City Council of East Brunswick to call upon our U.S. congressional delegation to join us in number one, urging the Biden administration, I only have two items here. One, urging the Biden administration to immediately call for ceasefire to end the current violence urgently. Two, calling upon the Biden administration to promptly send and facilitate the entry of humanitarian assistance into Gaza. We are also requesting that the City of East Brunswick condemns...
And I'm going to stop you. That's 45 seconds. I think I've been very fair and adequate with regard to the amount of time I've given you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
I want everyone to understand as well that this governing body deals with issues regarding the welfare of the township. We do not legislate international issues. Does anyone else want to address the town council president? Please. Give us your name and spell it and your address, please.
My name is Dan Rosette, D-A-N-R-O-Z-E-T-T. I live at 39 Wilson Court. I'm also the Director of Community Relations of Jewish Federation in the heart of New Jersey. Pardon my voice. Been speaking a lot lately, so I'll do my best. So first of all, I want to say that I respect free speech for all, no matter how much I might disagree or even reject someone else's opinion. However, loosely throwing around terms such as genocide in a way that completely ignores their true meaning or its true meaning is, in my opinion, wrong. On October 6th, there was a ceasefire. every innocent person that's dead today, since then, was alive. On October 6th, there was a ceasefire, and every innocent person dead since that day was alive. On October 7th, all that changed because Hamas attacked Israel and massacred 1,200 Israelis, raped women, carried out hundreds of executions, beheadings, and kidnappings of people, of Israelis of all ages and backgrounds. And if you don't believe me, come to me and I'll show you video. I have it. Ceasefire, no problem. Hamas needs to surrender, disband, and all hostages returned immediately. There are still 130 plus hostages being held by Hamas and Palestinian Jihad. Unfortunately, in all wars, there are civilian casualties, no exceptions, in every single war in history, and every single innocent civilian killed is a tragedy. Israel does everything possible and more to avoid it, but nobody is perfect. No army is perfect. Hamas deliberately operates in civilian areas, including schools, hospitals, mosques, and more recently, refugee centers. The IDF, the Israeli Defense Force, has reported that 7,000 plus Palestinians killed are Hamas fighters. Hundreds, if not thousands more, have been killed by Hamas rockets that misfired and landed in Gaza. Hamas has been recorded shooting Palestinians, retreating from war zone areas to safe zones because they want them to be used as human shields. And Hamas has been raiding UN facilities, UNRWA facilities, stealing food for their own purpose and not giving to the Palestinians who need it so desperately. Hamas has wasted billions and billions of dollars given by the international community to build underground terror tunnels, some of them 2 miles long and wide enough for cars to drive through them. The issue of genocide, that term has been used very loosely, especially when it comes to the Palestinian people. And again, I want to say that I understand that innocent civilians in Palestinian territories are being killed. But from 1990 to 2022, the Palestinian population has increased from 1.98 million to 5.4 million. That's a growth of 155% in 32 years. The current population is 5,431,422,000 and is at a growth at 2.3%. Genocide is literally the opposite of population growth, and Jews know about that. Thank you very much for your time. Appreciate it.
Please. And what I'm going to try to do is go back and forth, ladies and gentlemen, with regard to the Muslim community and the Jewish community here in East Brunswick. I'm going to do my best. Name and address, sir?
Good evening, Council. Good evening, Ms. Laffel, Mr. Baker, Mr. Criscolo, and Mayor, and police officers, and everyone. Thank you for inviting me here. My name is Dr. Khaled Zayed.
Would you spell it, please?
Khaled, Khaled. Last name Zayed.
And your address, sir?
I'm actually a resident of Piscataway, but I'm a Palestinian American. And I came here to support my sister Arika because she needed a Palestinian voice. So that's why I'm here to speak on behalf of Palestinians. Again, as I'm a Palestinian American, my dad left the West Bank, occupied West Bank of Palestine in 1960s. As a refugee, he was a teenager when Israel, 1967, attacked the West Bank and invaded the West Bank and Gaza and occupied the West Bank and Gaza until today. So I'm a son of a refugee, a Palestinian refugee. I've been in Piscataway since 2012. I've lived in multiple U.S. states. The last time I traveled to occupied Palestine was about 5 to 6 years ago. I wanted to just mention a few things. Last week, I introduced a resolution to the city of Piscataway, Township Piscataway, similar to what we're doing tonight, because civilians are getting killed in Gaza, and like the article mentioned that about 29,000 Palestinians have been killed. The previous speaker said something about October 6th. There was a ceasefire, But the one thing that he left out that there's over 200 to 300 Palestinians have been killed in the West Bank this year alone, prior to October 7. Also, Gaza has been under siege since 2006. 17 years of siege, air blockade, sea and land blockade of Gaza, where nothing can come in and out of Gaza without the permission of Israel. So also the previous speaker said something about women being raped. There is not a single Israeli woman that came out and said she was raped. So these lies that were spread on the US media, they're not actually, there's no evidence of that. So I'm here today just to request that the East Brunswick City Council members to introduce and pass this resolution calling for ceasefire in Gaza. Across the US, multiple cities already introduced resolutions for this, and we are calling for a ceasefire because hundreds of thousands of lives are at risk if we don't achieve the ceasefire. We need humanitarian aid to be delivered promptly. The federal government holds immense diplomatic and appropriations powers to save Palestinian and Israeli lives. International organizations like Amnesty International, United Nations, the World Health Organization, the U.S. Agency for International Development, USAID, the International Rescue Committee, and many others have made a call for a ceasefire to prevent the further loss of life of civilians and to be by the international humanitarian law. About 2-3 weeks ago, they did a poll. 66% of American voters supported a ceasefire. This is according to on October 20th. Actually, this is about now. It's been 2 months. 2003 data for Progress poll, and they want to see the U.S. leverage its diplomatic relationships to prevent further violence and civilian death. We are urging the City Council to call upon the U.S. congressional delegation to join us in, one, urging the Biden administration to immediately call for ceasefire and to end the current violence urgently. We're also asking for calling the Biden administration to promptly send and facilitate the entry of humanitarian assistance to Gaza. We are also requesting that the City Council condemn all forms of racism, bigotry, and discrimination, and support all of its residents. Once this resolution is passed, we would like to ask you, the Council, to quickly forward copies of this resolution to the President of the United States, to our congressional delegation in New Jersey, and I would appreciate that. Thank you so much. We have copies, actually, drafted copies of the resolution. We made 5 copies, and I don't think we have enough copies for everyone, but if you don't mind, we can pass it on to you. You can take a look at it.
Thank you. We'll take 1 copy. We'll submit this to the Township Clerk. And so it'll be entered into the record with regard to this governing body and what is taking place this evening. But again, this governing body deals with issues regarding the welfare of the Township of East Brunswick, and we do not legislate international affairs. Your 4 minutes is up, sir. Your 5 minutes is up. Thank you. From the Jewish community. Please, sir, this gentleman. Yes, please.
My name is Art Cagle. I live at 222 Dunham's Corner Road. I have been a resident of East Brunswick since January 15th, 1990. So a couple of weeks, it'll be 34 years. My wife and I raised 4 children in East Brunswick, 2 of whom have settled here and are residents and taxpayers in the town as well. My 3rd son recently married and is living in Highland Park, also in this beautiful area. I am very, very proud to be part of East Brunswick, have been since very soon after we moved in, because this council shut down someone who was trying to prevent the Young Israel of East Brunswick from building a new building, and came to this council with spewing hatred. And this council shut him down, and I was very proud of that. And it made me very proud to live here. I also want to say that I am very proud of all of these people who come to express their love for humanity and for people. this is all to the good. I think that some of what has been said here is misguided and misinformed. Certainly, there are untruths being spread on all sides of this issue. But I think it's very important to note that the organization known as Hamas, right, started this entire thing on October the 7th by crossing the border of a sovereign nation from their enclave in Gaza with thousands of civilians and war fighters and slaughtered people, killed them, murdered, tortured, and took hostages that they brought back to Gaza, many of whom are still being held. I think it's inappropriate to tell the government of a sovereign nation what it needs to do to protect its borders and to protect its people. And I think that just as you, Mr. President, have stated that East Brunswick is not in a position and should not be in a position to dictate to foreign nations or to our own country, for that matter, it's important to note that sovereign nations have the right to protect themselves and to protect their borders and to protect their citizens, just as East Brunswick has a responsibility to protect its citizens and its borders and all of the rights of its people. So I would propose a resolution for this council to consider, and I understand that it is not, may or may not be appropriate, but for your consideration, I propose the following. Be it resolved that the Council of the Township of East Brunswick, New Jersey, abhors and condemns the unprovoked terrorist actions taken by the governing body of the region of the Middle East known as the Gaza Strip, also known as Gaza, that being the terrorist organization called Hamas, on October 7th, 2023, wherein numerous fighters and civilians associated with Hamas did cross the national border between Gaza and the sovereign nation, the State of Israel, and subsequently murdered and tortured over 1,200 innocent civilians and security forces and kidnapped over 200 civilians as hostages across several towns in the State of Israel, including citizens of the United States of America and other non-involved nations. Be it further resolved that the Council of the Township of East Brunswick, New Jersey, supports the right of the State of Israel, compliant with international law, to defend itself, including the right to enter hostile territory with the intent to rout out and destroy the terrorist organization known as Hamas, and to repatriate those taken hostage. I have a copy for the council, and thank you for your time.
From the Muslim community. I see a hand deep in the back. Come to you next. I'll come to you next. Please. Gentleman with the mask on. Give us your name, spell it, and your address.
Sure. My name is Anton Kabaz. I live in Kingston, New Jersey, close by.
Spell your last name, please.
Kabaz, K-H-A-B-B-A-Z. Address is 1007 Lois Court, Princeton, New Jersey.
Thank you.
I just would like to say that my family is Palestinian. I was born here. I went to many universities, including I worked at Princeton University as a neuroscience researcher, and I'm also from a Palestinian family. My family is from the West Bank, which is occupied by Israel since 1967, and they are in the midst of, they're closed right next to Bethlehem. Bethlehem closed all the ceremony, canceled Christmas because in solidarity with the people of Gaza. And right now in the occupied West Bank, settlers act with impunity. Impunity means that they can take guns and shoot people and kill them, including children. Children. women, pregnant women, and the powers that be there, which is the Israeli IDF, Israeli Defense Forces, support them and protect them, and they act with impunity. Hundreds have been killed since October 7th. The situation in the West Bank is mild compared to what we know is happening in Gaza, and we heard about that, especially from our first speaker. But it's no exaggeration to say that millions of people are starving and starving. Now, why would we be involved in such a remote place as Palestine or Israel? Why? Well, Israel is acting with impunity, disregarding every human law that has been here for thousands of years, not just our laws, but the sanctity of life. I mean, we just read the Pledge of Allegiance, liberty and justice for all. We espouse justice and liberty. Well, I mean, Israel is giving no justice. There's no justice. Palestinians are second-class citizens in Israel. They have no laws. In Gaza, they don't even have food, water. They have no life. I mean, parents have to deal with facing their children, asking for food, and those are the lucky ones. A lot of them are being killed, and we know it. I mean, every one of those 20,000 people killed have a story. They have a name. They have children. They have aspirations. Some of them, like the same singers we do, like Billie Eilish, they like to rap. They're just human beings like the rest of us. If we can't embrace humanity, then where are we? Where are we? We have to. It's our right. It's our duty as people, as civilized people. Now, honestly, Israel could not drop even one bomb without our support as Americans. Our support gives them $3.8 billion a year, unlimited military and diplomatic pressure. The U.S. has vetoed hundreds of resolutions asking for justice for Palestinians. We veto them for no good reason. Now, this has got to stop. We, the people, do not want that. 66% of we, the people, the Americans, want a ceasefire. That's over almost two-thirds. It's two-thirds. It probably is more. And you, our elected officials, are requested to uphold democracy, which means uphold our views. So maybe it's true you are not entitled to vote on international or to represent international issues, but it is also true that you're Americans and you are elected officials.
Time has
And-
expired, sir.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Someone from the Jewish community, please.
My name is Joanne LaFond. I live in 307 Ruse Lane, East Brunswick.
Joanne, could you spell your last name, please?
Lafond. Okay. My parents were Holocaust survivors. And what happened on October 7th is they beheaded babies. They raped women. They took hostages. They killed 33 Americans. And they're still holding hostages. And it wasn't just Hamas that participated. It was the civilians in Gaza as well. And yesterday I got to watch that on October 8th, they showed, Hamas videoed what they did. And all these people, it was like all you could see was lights on and people there cheering and taking videos of what happened. I got a call at 3 o'clock in the morning in the middle of a Jewish holiday here from a friend that moved to Israel. And she said that there were Hamas fighters shooting and killing people. She said there were bodies all over the street in Jerusalem where they were living, and she didn't know what she was going to do with her husband and her baby. And as far as they're saying Gaza is besieged, well, Egypt also shut their doors because they took sides on and supported the Muslim Brotherhood. They could go to Egypt anytime, but Egypt shut their door. And as far as atrocities, Jordan killed 25,000 of them when they caused problems in Jordan. Saudi Arabia and Kuwait during the Gulf War expelled 42,000 of them into the desert. Israel took some of them, Jordan took some of them, because they also took sides on Saddam Hussein. Syria and Iran starved something like 12 to 15,000 in the Lebanese refugee camps because they also took sides. No Arab country wants to take them, and because they're causing problems there. Israel's provided hospital even to the terrorists while they're shooting rockets to Israel. And they pay their salaries of the officials. Those people that decimated the kibbutzim and the Negev, a lot of those people were employed as employees, builders, pickers, or whatever, worked in the greenhouses and whatever in Israel. And they bombed safe houses. They shot women and children. There was one where they cut off this girl's arms. They put babies in ovens. That's what happened in World War II. My relatives, my family lost 87 relatives. And out of 100 and something, only 7 survived. Thank you.
Can I?
Yeah, just a couple more.
Okay. I think at this point in time, it's very clear where the two camps stand. And just for time, I'm going to bring on 2 more Muslims and 2 more Jewish from our community, and then call it a night with regard to the public portion. So this gentleman in blue, who I did recognize earlier. Name, spelling, address.
Muhammad Saqib, S-A-Q-E-E-B. Live on 46 Riders Lane. I live here in East Brunswick.
Now, what street do you live on?
4 Riders Lane.
Irish Lane.
And I'd just like to say, this is not the Muslim community and the Jewish community. This is a pro-Palestinian community standing here for children. And this is an Israeli community standing for Israelis. Now,
And I will oblige the pro-Palestinian community.
thank you.
And with regard to the Jewish community,
Whatever they say,
it's going to remain the Jewish community.
whatever they like. Well, also, there are Jewish communities that here are pro-Palestinian. So there is a discussion about that too. And not just Jewish, not just Palestinians, Pakistanis, Indians, Hispanics, white people. This is not about religion here. We're talking about people standing up for people. And one of the issues that we, been hearing throughout the whole entire time was what people have been doing and shooting and fighting and biting. One side is just talking about stopping genocide, stopping people dying in the streets. The other side is talking about justifying why people should die in the streets. There is no competition or controversy about who wants lives here and who wants lives over nowhere. We don't want them to be here. And I don't know why, the entire set is based on one side goes in one way and the other side goes the other way. And to the point about welfare, about the community, how come we don't have a public assembly just to talk about what's going on in Palestine? How come we don't do a similar thing that we talked about when the hijab was taken off in 2017, right? We had like a little community fest where we brought people in the community to talk about their consideration or issues. That, I believe, helps with the welfare of our county. The Muslim community don't feel safe. I don't know, I'm pretty sure the Jewish community has brought up that there's anti-Semitism, and yet we don't have this discussion in the school community. We don't have an assembly, we don't have some PSA about, hey, you know, a moment of silence for the people who have been dying constantly every day in Gaza, that every single person here sees in this media, whether you're American citizen or Canadian, whatever you live in the world, you see kids dying in the streets. You don't want to have a moment of silence to keep people safe? Like, that's what I raise to most of you guys. Like, if you want to talk about the welfare of our county, what's the best welfare but making sure that people don't feel silence? That's it.
Thank you. Within.
Hi, my name is Gail Honig. I live in East Brunswick. I live at 91 Stratford Road. I wasn't going to say anything, but I think it's really important to focus on the fact that Hamas is doing these things to the Palestinian people, not Israel. Hamas had money that was given to them, and all they did was build tunnels. They didn't take care of the people. They're not taking care of the people. The things that the Palestinians have was given to them by Israel, and Israel is being blamed, but it's Hamas that went after Israel. It's Hamas that took things away from the Palestinian people. It's Hamas that is responsible for the deaths, not Israel. They didn't give anything to their people. Their people have nothing. They built tunnels and whatever underground, not Israel. And I resent that Israel is being blamed for it. It's Hamas.
Thank you. And our final speaker, this gentleman. Our final speaker. Not you, sir? Okay, your final speaker.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for hearing us tonight. My name is Rebecca Levin, Levin. I do not live in East Brunswick. I live in North Brunswick, but I do work in the township, and I feel very proud and very strongly about this community that has welcomed me into your arms. Everyone here is connected to everything that is happening anywhere else in the world. But in order to make change, we have to start small. We cannot make a change on the other side of the world if we do not have our small individual communities, our neighbors, reaching out and helping us to make a bigger impact. And that is why this is an issue that affects this township and not just the country or the planet or the other side of the world from us. My great-grandfather, Joseph Jacobson, may his memory be for blessing, fought in World War II and was a prisoner of war. And when he was captured by the Germans, they looked at his dog tags and they said, you are a Jew. And he stood up to them and he said, no, I am an American. And that saved his life because his status as an American citizen protected him from the atrocities that they committed. As Americans, we have to stand up for the freedom of everyone on this planet. Whether or not we speak, will be felt, will be noticed, will be heard. This is not just a worldwide issue, a country issue. It is up to us, the individuals, to stand together, to raise our hands together, and to make a voice that can be heard around the world. Please don't consider this as something that does not impact your community, your township, because you have people here who have family on both sides of this conflict. You have people here who have lost loved ones on both sides of this conflict. If we do not have peace, complete peace between both sides, there is only going to be further loss of life. Please do not reduce this to the Muslim side and the Jewish side, because as a Jew, I speak for the people of Palestine. They deserve freedom. They deserve peace. They are our community. Thank you.
You're welcome. Our final speaker is from the Jewish community.
Good evening. I'm a Jewish American and resident of East Brunswick. My name is Judy Goldrich. I live at 15 New Dover Road. I think that the task before the council tonight is fairly clear, but I think that just in terms of some of the points that have been made by various members of the audience during the evening, it would be remiss on the part of most people who know the facts to not try to rebut these facts or the expression of what was said. Some of the speakers talked about their love of people. We all love people, and I don't think anybody should be reduced to being told that they don't love people if they support Israel. The people who talked about their love of people and their concern for people's welfare, I would question why none of those folks have expressed any concern, worry, or fear for the fate of the 120-plus hostages that are still remaining under the control of Hamas in Gaza when they were kidnapped from their beds, their kitchens, their bedrooms in Israel. If people really do care about other people, that should be the first expression of concern that we hear here tonight. People being raped and beheaded and killed by Hamas and tortured, that is the type of activity that should be condemned here tonight and should form the basis of any type of resolution that is considered by this council. The people of Gaza, no one would deny that they are certainly suffering at this point, along with the people of Israel. And the people of Gaza, it should be noted, have had their lives destroyed for one simple reason. They have had their lives destroyed because the people purporting to act on their behalf and who have ruled them since 2006, when Hamas took over from the Palestinian Authority in a bloody coup, are the ones who make their lives miserable. And they have not served their people well at all. In terms of occupation, the Gaza Strip has not been occupied by Israel. Israel pulled its complete troops out of the Gaza Strip in 2005. There was an election. The results of that election were overturned, as I said, in this bloody coup that Hamas purported. And from that time on, Hamas has ruled the Gaza Strip. It has not been Israel, and there has not been a single Israeli soldier controlling Gaza. So as far as occupation, that is a misnomer, and it is not accurate. In terms of genocide, that, as several people have mentioned here tonight, genocide is a very, very serious term with a very serious definition. Israel has not, by any standard, perpetuated a genocide. Israel, in fact, has been the one to assist Palestinians who come across its international border seeking medical care and other kinds of care. In fact, the people who are perpetuating a genocidal intent are Hamas, who in their own charter state that they have a goal of eliminating every Israeli and every Jew. Okay? And that's not something that is noted here. When the term genocide is used, that is where we are hearing genocide when we look at the Hamas charter, not on the part of Israel. And in terms of the statistics that were bandied about, I think it's also worthwhile to note that in November of this year, several weeks after the Hamas attack, there were polls that were taken, and Palestinians, both in Gaza as well as in Judea and Samaria, were polled, and they were asked questions along the lines of, was Hamas correct to do what they did on October 7th to the Israelis? More than 50% of Palestinians polled from those areas stated Hamas was correct to do what they did. That means that that is something that they are supportive of. So when we talk about who is supporting genocide,
And your time has expired.
we need to be careful. Thank you.
I want to thank everyone. I want to thank everyone who came out this evening, and we could continue, but there's governance that needs to be done by this particular body. I think at 8:20 we get a clear idea as to what the sides are thinking, and I appreciate everyone coming out. We'll take a recess for a moment to let everyone leave, unless you want to stay around and watch governance. Anybody behind the curtain back out there wants to know?
Yeah, we didn't go.
Okay, let's see where I want to be. May I have a motion for Resolution 23-351? We good? I'm sorry, report, no. We didn't do this. Adopting the minutes from December 11th, 2023? Second? Any points of clarification or discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilman Waddell?
Yes.
Councilwoman Winston?
Yes.
Council President McAvoy?
Yes, I'll open the public, no, we
Did that already.
did that. How quickly we did.
Did you want to do reports of members?
Hang on. Yeah, we have a public hearing regarding pre-qualifications for prospective bidders for the construction of the ice rink related work, the work for a new municipal ice skating rink. Does anyone wish to address the council with regard to this matter?
Council President, if I can describe why we're doing this
Sure.
and the purpose of it. The state of New Jersey has very strict rules on public bidding in order to keep the process clean and transparent. Usually you just have to accept the lowest bidder on a project, and that doesn't mean the lowest bidder is a good contractor. It just means they happen to be the lowest bidder. However, the Department of Community Affairs in New Jersey has a process for providing additional qualifications for bidders in specialty type work that would require the bidder not only to be the lowest bidder, but also meet certain qualifications to know that they have to do, that they're experienced and qualified with the type of work that's required. In this case, it's the ice-related work in the proposed new arena ice skating rink. By ice-related work, we mean the plumbing that goes into the slab, the refrigeration, the cooling tower, the installation of the equipment that keeps the ice in good condition, and in the rink area that keeps the humidity and the temperatures at appropriate levels. So in order to be sure that we get the best contractor for that type of specialty work, because it is not work that a general contractor who builds buildings normally undertakes, we've put together, with the assistance of our architect as well as our township engineering staff, some pre-qualifications. Those qualifications are that the bidder, before they're permitted to bid, has to be able to prove that they've done at least 3 indoor ice rink projects with this type of specialty work on average for the last 3 years. That would be a total of 9 for the last 3 years. They have to establish that their project manager has done 3 similar projects with this specialty work in the last 3 years. They have to have not wrongfully defaulted on a contract or had work terminated for non-performance within the last 5 years. They have been, to be able to show that they haven't been denied a performance bond in the last 12 months, and they have to provide the name and information of all the principals that are involved in their organization. By doing this, we hope to only get qualified bidders for this type of specialty work, being able to bid on the ice rink work, that specialized work in the new ice rink arena. Process-wise, the council would have to adopt a resolution after the public hearing. It's on your agenda. I believe it is the second or third item under the, on the agenda. It is Resolution
353?
353. Thank you, Council President. This then gets submitted to the Department of Community Affairs. They will review and let us know if they approve of our pre-qualifications. And if they do, we then can go put those bids out on the street with those pre-qualifications. And again, only those contractors who meet these requirements would be permitted to bid on that portion of the project. And with that, Council President, if there's anyone in the audience who would like to comment.
But I think I did, went out of order a little bit. I mean,
You can reopen.
Can we go back to the mayor's report?
No.
Or do you want to finish this?
Yeah. Open up the public for the hearing.
Okay, public portion with regard to just this resolution 23-353. Anyone from the public wishing to speak on this issue and this issue alone? Seeing none, roll call it? No? No? Okay. Close public portion, and we'll move to, should I do 23-354 or
No, you can do them later when you get
Okay.
back to them. Now it's reports.
mayor's report? Mayor Cohn?
Thank you, Council President. Just a couple of small things. One, I just wanted to make mention that a colleague of ours on the Board of Education recently passed away. Holly Howard served this town for almost 20 years on that board, and I think that it deserves recognition because it's clearly a board that is important to this township, as its schools are our number one priority here and still remains the number one reason that people move here. It is a job that people do not get paid for. It's incredible amount of work that goes into being on a Board of Education. Sometimes I think people don't understand exactly how much that's involved, and then to have done that for 20 years speaks volumes about that person. So I just wanted to make sure that it was in the record that we paid tribute to somebody who had committed that much time and effort on behalf of the students of this township. Also wanted to make a mention that this is the last meeting for our township attorney, official meeting for our township attorney, Michael Baker. And again, kudos to somebody who has contributed decades of service in many different aspects, not just as the township attorney, but in many different ways, giving back to this community. And that does not go unnoticed. But we will miss you. And I think that the town has owes you a debt of gratitude and is infinitely better than it was from the day that you started. And so on behalf of the entire township, I want to thank you for all your years of service to the township of East Brunswick.
Thank you very much, Mayor. Appreciate it.
And finally, Happy New Year to everybody. Happy and healthy 2024.
Our business administrator, Mr. Crisculo.
Happy New Year to everybody. Also, congratulations to Mike on his retirement. Had the luxury of working with him in many different towns. Learned an awful lot from him. And an old mayor of mine used to say, learn something new every day. And if you talk to Mike on any given day, you learn something. So thank you very much for your stewardship and your patience with me at times. You will be missed. But I'm not going to say goodbye. I'm going to say see you around.
Thank you, Joe.
Final comments, Mr. Baker?
Joe, I have almost infinite patience. I started up here over 40 years ago in January of 1983. It's been a great run, both as an elected official, as a political leader, and as your township attorney. I did enjoy those breaks that I took in between some things, like when Jim and the Republicans took over in the late 90s and mid 2000s. But East Brunswick's a great town. I'm happy to have been born here 6 and 10 months ago, and have raised my family here. My daughter is a proud graduate of East Brunswick High School. My wife's a graduate. I'm a graduate. My brothers, sisters, everyone love East Brunswick, and I continue to be involved in town. You're not done with me yet. Thank you.
Council members? Mr. Wendell?
Nothing from me.
Ms.
Just
Weston?
Happy New Year and congrats to Mike.
Thank you.
So I can move to consent?
Good.
The three resolutions? 352, no? 353? We can roll call that? We're ready for that.
Motion to
Motion
adopt
to adopt,
Resolution
second?
23353.
Second.
Okay. And roll call.
Councilman Wendell?
Yes.
Councilwoman Winston?
Yes.
And Council President McAvoy?
Yes. Resolution 23354.
Move to adopt.
Motion? Second?
Second.
Not even reading it, right through there.
Nice and
I like that style, especially on December 26th.
That's right.
Roll call, please.
Councilman Wendell?
Yes.
Councilwoman Winston?
Yes.
And Council President McAvoy?
Yes.
Thank you.
Before I ask for anything to be separated from consent, just get a couple of clarifications, one from Mr. Criscuolo, one from the mayor. Mr. Criscuolo, can you enlighten us on 23-357? Cricket field,
Yes.
right?
If you recall, last year, about this time, we passed a bond ordinance, which included building the township's first official cricket field. As you know, we have a smaller one at Bicentennial Park. Mr. Kipp and our engineering staff developed the specs over time, and we're happy to announce that we're going to be awarding this bid to the contractor to begin building the cricket pitch over at Heavenly Farms.
That's great news. Great news. And everything but lighting. I guess the lighting made it just too expensive. So just for the community that's watching the town council meeting, the lighting is coming next year.
Yeah, this is for naturally the turf, the irrigation system, which is definitely necessary, and the pitch itself. As you can see, it's $782,000. So that's within our coffers to do.
Great. And Mayor Cohen, can you comment on the resolution 23-360, the
Sure.
recycling
the
solid waste
recycling.
containers?
Yeah, just to finish up on the last comment
Sure.
regarding the cricket field, the plan had always been, and still is, as you mentioned, Council President, to do this as a lit field. And we will seek to go out next year and finish that. So we didn't want the public to think that that wasn't part of our ultimate plan for the cricket field. But right now, a bid was a little too high to expect that it would cover all of those things in the $1 million that we were setting aside for that project.
Right. And we all respect that financial planning of yours. So does the community.
Thank you. Regarding the solid waste and recycling container.
mic's off.
I'm so sorry. Regarding the Resolution 360, which is for the solid waste and recycling waste containers, we did mention earlier when we agreed to the new contract that was being provided to us that they would all be automated service, and so it requires that we have to change to a receptacle that can be picked up by those automated trucks. In order to do that, we need to go out to bid to try to get those containers. That's what this bid is here in front of you. Each resident will get one recycling and one solid waste receptacle. They will have the East Brunswick insignia on it. We'll have instructions regarding solid waste and recycling, instructions embedded into the covers. They're all covered. In addition, there will be the number that people can call for bulk pickups, so that we realize that going into the contract into the beginning of the new year, bulk pickup will still be done, but you will have to schedule that. It will automatically be picked up from your home. And the main reason for that is because it is unpredictable at any one time how much bulk is left out by residents. And often trucks get filled up faster than we thought, and means that it's difficult for the hauler to get back to the community and finish the promised area. So if we schedule it, we have far more control over making sure that they're picked up on time and that nobody has empty bulk pickups that aren't picked up. So that is what the $1.7 million is also. Represents the fact that they will be mostly 95-gallon bins, but we will have 35-gallon bins. We originally talked about 65-gallon bins for people that really don't put out that much garbage, or elderly or disabled that feel they can't move the 95-gallon bin. We'll have the option for them to pick 35-gallon bins instead. That is payable over a 5-year period of time, and that's to be bonded. But we wanted to get that bid out and put the order in, so that our expectation is that they would be delivered sometime in probably more likely the end of March. And they will be delivered directly to each resident. You will not have to pick it up. They'll be brought to your home. And but we want to get that order out as soon as possible.
Thank you, Mayor. Do we need anything separated? No. Get a motion for 23-355 through 23-368.
Motion.
Second.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilman Wendell?
Yes.
Councilwoman Winston?
Yes.
And Council President McAvoy?
Yes, we do not have any ordinances for introduction. Therefore, go to the cause.
Just like to wish everybody a happy new year. Stay safe. Enjoy it. It's amateur night.
But the new garbage contract does start January 1st, or 2nd, actually. So then we'll go to the twice-a-week pickup. So you put it out as you do now. There's a letter going out to every resident. It should be hitting the streets about now. It's going to be north of Cranberry Road, south of Cranberry Road. That's the dividing line. Mondays and Thursdays, Tuesdays and Fridays. And recycling is going to be on Wednesdays, every other week. Same scenario, trying to make it as easy as possible. But that will start. So naturally, people that, when there's a holiday on a given week, you skip that service. There's no makeup on the Saturday. So the people that have Monday pickup, well, they won't get Monday pickup, they'll get Wednesday pickup. So on Thursday, if 4th of July is on a Thursday, well, then you don't get picked up on that Thursday. It goes to the following week, something like that. So, okay? Just want to make sure everybody understood. We'll be putting more information out on social media and everything to remind people of the same.
We have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. The ayes have it. Good night.